little steam.
The Brave Little Steam Shovel? You want to read that one?
Yeah.
Okay. The Brave Little Steam Shovel. We haven't read this in a long time, have we, Mark? Okay. The Brave Little Steam Shovel. Sandy, the new little steam shovel, was all excited. Soon his coat of bright blue paint would be dry. Then he would be ready to leave the factory. While Sandy waited to go, he thought of what he would do after he went out into the big world. He would dig holes for cellars. He would make swimming pools and playgrounds for children. He would help build fine new roads and parks. And he would not work alone. He would work with a nice gang of men and machines. When Sandy's paint was dry, a big jolly man named Sam climbed into Sandy's cab and started his motor. Then he drove Sandy out of the factory. "Rrrr," said Sandy as he rolled down the highway. Sandy was still saying "rrrr" as happily as ever when Sam drove him into a big garage, which was to be his new home. Sandy looked around the garage. He saw that it was full of machines. There were 3 big fat trucks. There was a very big and very wise-looking old steam shovel. Joe, the wise-looking old steam shovel, looked at Sandy. "Ha ha 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 ha," laughed Joe. And all the other machines looked at Sandy and laughed too. They were laughing because they saw that Sandy was just a little baby steam shovel. They thought he wasn't big enough and strong enough to belong to their gang. When Sandy heard the other machines laughing at him, he felt very sad. Then Sandy thought, "I may be small, but I'm willing and I'm strong. Someday I'll have a chance to show everybody what I can do." Early the next morning, a dozen men came to the garage. They drove out all the machines except Joe, the big steam shovel. "We've got a nice job today," said Sam to Sandy. "We're going to dig the cellar for the new school. And we're going to leave Joe home and see what you can do, Sandy, so do your best." No machine ever was prouder or happier than Sandy was that morning, as he went out on his first job. And when he began to work, Sandy did his very best. The men looked at Sandy and nodded. "Sandy's all right," said one of the truck driver. "He's doing a good job." Then all the men and machines looked at Sandy and smiled. Just as Sandy was beginning to smile back, something happened. His bucket hit a big hard rock. Over and over again, Sandy tried to pick up the big rock, but he couldn't do it. At last, Sam shook his head. "Guess it's no use, Sandy," he said. "We'll just have to put Joe on the job." Sandy was very sad as Sam drove him back to the garage, and he was even more unhappy when he saw Sam drive Joe out. But he thought, "Someday I'll have another chance." Day after day, Sandy stayed home. But one morning, Sam came running into the garage. He ran right up to Sandy, jumped into his cab, and started his motor. "Sandy," said Sam, "we have a tough job to do. The rain has washed a lot of earth onto the road that goes over the mountain. No one can get through. All the cars are stuck. Joe can't do the job because he's too big to work on that narrow road. It's up to you, Sandy. Do your best, because we must clear the road." Sandy's heart gave a happy jump when he heard that. "Rrrr," he said as he raced out of the garage. He knew that this was his big chance. Now he would show everybody what he could do. It was hard work racing along the road, because the road was crowded with cars and trucks. "Honk honk, beep beep," they said. The drivers leaned out the windows. "Please hurry and clear the road," they said. "We must get going." And Sandy said "Rrrr" to show everyone he was coming to the rescue. But when Sandy came to the spot where the earth had slid across the road, his heart sank. The pile of earth across the road was higher than Sandy, and there was so little room to work in. There was just space between the steep side of the mountain on one side and the edge of the high cliff on the other. Sandy went right to work. Grrr, said Sandy, picking up a bucket of the heavy, wet earth. He said, swinging his boom and dumping the earth over the edge of the cliff. Said Sandy, going back for more earth. And he said, dumping it. Honk honk, beep beep, said the cars. Please hurry, called the drivers. Said Sandy, working away as fast as any steam shovel could work. The big pile of earth grew smaller and smaller as Sandy worked away in the rain. Sandy was tired now. His joints felt hot, and his motor throbbed, but he kept on. At last, only a small pile of earth was left lying across the road. Said Sandy happily, because now he had almost finished the job. He lowered his bucket again and again. Bang, bang, went Sandy's bucket. He had struck a big rock under the earth. Sandy tried to pick up the rock, but it was much bigger than his bucket. He just couldn't pick it up, no matter how hard he tried. All right, Sandy, said Sam. Let's try to push the rock away. Sam pulled up a lever, and up went Sandy's boom. He pushed against the rock, but the rock didn't budge. Grrr, 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 he said, pushing against the rock again with all his strength. His wheels spun on the slippery road. His motor roared, and his joints squeaked, but Sandy kept on pushing, and at last the rock moved. A little bit at first, and then it moved faster and faster until the rock went over the edge of the cliff into the woods below with a loud crash. Bang! Good work, Sandy, shouted Sam. Sandy felt proud all over. All the drivers called to Sandy and said, "Thanks a lot, Sandy." Then Sandy and Sam went back to the garage. As soon as Sandy went through the door, he saw that the other machines had heard about what he had done. They were all smiling at him. Sandy looked at Joe, the big, wise-looking old steam shovel. Old Joe gave him a long, slow wink, and he saw a big, warm smile spreading over Joe's face. Then Sandy heard something nice. It might have been just the wind growling around the corner of the garage, but Sandy was sure it was old Joe saying, "Good job, Sandy. You're all right." Sandy was too sleepy after his hard work to do anything but smile back at Joe and all the other machines. But he wasn't too sleepy to feel very, very happy inside, because he knew he was one of the gang at last. He was still just a little steam shovel, but he had shown everybody he could do a big job.
Yeah, they.
The end of the brave little steam shovel.
So they. I gotta get something.
You want to try fire engines? Let's read.